Commander Hana Kim stood at the giant window of Luna Station, looking down at Earth below. The blue and green planet spun slowly in space, showing the continents and oceans she had grown up seeing in pictures. She was only 28 years old, but already the most feared human in the galaxy. Not because she was cruel or violent, but because she was too smart for everyone else to handle. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and she wore the standard Earth Defense Force uniform, with 3 silver stars on her collar showing her high rank. Most commanders her age were still learning basic tactics, but Hana had already changed how humans fought in space. Her inventions made alien generals wake up in cold sweats at night. The quantum disruption field was her latest creation. It could stop entire enemy fleets without firing a single shot. The device created invisible waves that made alien ships shut down completely, leaving them floating helpless in space like broken toys. The technology was so advanced that even human scientists barely understood how it worked. Hana turned away from the window and walked to her private laboratory on Luna Station. The room was filled with strange machines that hummed and glowed. With different colored lights, holographic displays showed complex equations floating in the air, while robotic arms moved pieces of metal and crystal around on workbenches. Everything in the room looked like magic, but it was all based on human science that had advanced far beyond what other species could imagine. She picked up a small device that looked like a silver coin, but contained more computing power than most alien battleships. The device was part of her next project, something she called dimensional folding technology. If it worked, humans would be able to travel across the galaxy in seconds instead of months. Other species took years to cross the distances that humans were about to cover in heartbeats. The communication panel on her desk beeped with an incoming message. It was from Admiral Taman Seo, the head of Earth Defense Force. He appeared as a hologram wearing his dress uniform with medals covering his chest. His expression was serious as always, but Hana could see he was excited about something. "Admiral, we have received intelligence reports from our deep space scouts," he said. "The alien governments are holding emergency meetings about you specifically. They are calling you the human weapon and discussing ways to stop your research." Hana smiled slightly. She had expected this reaction. The other species in the galaxy had been comfortable being the advanced civilizations, while humans were still learning to leave their home system. But now humans were advancing so fast that aliens could not keep up. In just 50 years, humans had gone from barely reaching their own moon to creating technology that made thousand-year-old alien empires look primitive. "Let them have their meetings," she replied while continuing to work on her device. "They can discuss and worry all they want, but they cannot stop progress. The universe does not care about their comfort zones." The Admiral nodded, but his expression remained concerned. "We have also intercepted communications, suggesting that some species are considering more direct action against you personally. They view your research as a threat to galactic stability." Hana paused her work and looked directly at the hologram. This was interesting news, but not particularly surprising. The Velkan Empire had been making aggressive moves lately. The Thakari Confederation had been asking too many questions about human technology, and the ancient celestial order had broken their long silence to demand that humans slow down their advancement. If they want to try something direct, they are welcome to attempt it, she said calmly. "I would be curious to see what they think they can accomplish. Their best technology is barely equal to what we were using 5 years ago." Admiral seemed about to say something more, but Hana had already returned to her work. She was adjusting the quantum matrices inside her device, trying to stabilize the dimensional field generators. The mathematics involved would have taken alien scientists decades to understand, but Hana worked through the equations in her head while having a conversation. After the Admiral ended the call, Hana continued working late into the night. Luna Station operated on Earth time, so the artificial lighting dimmed to simulate evening. Through her laboratory windows, she could see Earth hanging in space, like a jewel. Other space stations orbited nearby along with the massive defense platforms that protected the human home system. The defense platforms were another of her inventions. Each one contained enough firepower to destroy entire alien fleets, but they looked like simple metal structures to anyone who did not know better. The weapons were hidden inside using technology that most species would not develop for centuries. The platforms could also generate protective barriers around Earth that would stop any known weapon as she worked. Hana thought about the alien governments discussing her in their emergency meetings. They probably believed they were dealing with a normal military threat, something they could handle using traditional methods. They did not understand that human advancement was not just about better weapons or faster ships. Humans thought differently than other species. Most alien civilizations advanced slowly over thousands of years. They would develop one new technology, then spend centuries perfecting it before moving to the next innovation. Humans did not work that way. Human scientists built on each. Others were constantly creating improvements and breakthroughs at an incredible pace. What took aliens millennia to achieve, humans accomplished in decades. The quantum disruption device beeped softly, indicating that the latest calibration was complete. Hana picked up the small silver disc and examined it under a microscope. The internal structure looked like a tiny city made of crystal and metal, with pathways for energy to flow in patterns that created reality. Bending effects. She placed the device into a testing chamber and activated it. The air around the device began to shimmer like heat waves, but the effect was actually space itself being folded. A metal ball, placed 10 meters away, suddenly appeared next to the device, having traveled through folded dimensions instead of normal space. The technology worked perfectly. This dimensional folding system would change everything. Humans would be able to move ships instantly across vast distances, making their already superior technology even more overwhelming. The alien government's meeting and emergency session had no idea what was coming. They thought Hana Kim was dangerous now, but they had not seen anything yet. Hana saved her work and prepared to leave the laboratory tomorrow. She would begin testing the dimensional technology on larger scales. Eventually, she would install it on human ships, giving them the ability to appear anywhere in the galaxy without warning. The strategic advantages would be incredible. As she walked through the corridors of Luna Station toward her quarters, Hana passed windows showing the beautiful view of Earth and the surrounding space. Human ships moved between the planets, while construction crews worked on expanding the orbital facilities. Everything looked peaceful and organized, but Hana knew that somewhere in the darkness, alien assassins were probably already planning their first attempts. The thought did not worry her. Instead, it made her curious about what methods they would try. Human defensive technology had advanced far beyond what aliens understood. Their weapons would be useless. Their stealth systems would be detected, and their tactics would be predicted before they even began. Hana reached her quarters and prepared for sleep. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities to demonstrate human superiority. The galaxy was about to learn that trying to stop human progress was not just impossible, it was a waste of time that would only make humans more determined to advance even faster. The first assassination attempt came 3 days later, while Hana was inspecting the new defense satellites orbiting Mars. She had taken a small transport ship with minimal crew because she preferred to examine her inventions personally rather than rely on reports from others. The Mars orbital ring was her latest defensive project, with satellites that could create an energy web capable of stopping entire invasion fleets. Hana was reviewing technical data on her tablet when the ship's sensors began screaming warnings. 3 vessels had dropped out of hyperspace directly ahead, moving fast and broadcasting no identification signals. The ships were sleek and dark-colored, almost invisible against the black of space. They had the angular, Design typical of Velkan Empire stealth fighters, Captain Bong-Soo Park. The pilot of her transport immediately began evasive maneuvers while reaching for the weapons controls, but Hana placed her hand on his arm to stop him. She was curious to see what the aliens thought they could accomplish with such an obvious attack. The Velkan ships fired plasma torpedoes that glowed bright green as they streaked through space toward the human transport. Each torpedo contained enough destructive power to vaporize a city block. Most beings would have panicked, but Hana simply activated her experimental shielding system. The transport was surrounded by a shimmering energy barrier that looked like soap bubbles floating in space. The alien weapons struck the shield and bounced off harmlessly like rubber balls hitting a wall. The energy was absorbed and redirected back toward the attacking ships, causing their own weapons to overload their targeting systems. The Velkan pilots found themselves blind and helpless as their advanced stealth fighters began shutting down one by one. Hana used the transport's communication array to trace the attacker's signal back to its source. Within seconds, she had identified their command ship hiding behind one of Mars' moons. She opened a direct channel to the Velkan High Command and spoke in their own language, which she had learned in her spare time. "Your stealth technology needs improvement," she said calmly. "I detected your ships before they even entered this solar system. Perhaps you should invest more resources in research and development instead of wasting time on assassination attempts." The silence from the Velkan command ship lasted for several long moments before a harsh alien voice responded. In broken human English, "You are impossible female human. Your species advances too quickly. It is not natural." Hana smiled at this response. Nothing about human advancement was natural by alien standards. Humans did not follow the slow, careful progression that other species considered normal. Instead, they leaped forward in great bounds, leaving older civilizations struggling to understand what had happened. "I suggest you upgrade your military technology," she replied before cutting the communication. "Your current systems are at least 50 years behind human standards." Captain Park stared at her in amazement as the Velkan ships retreated into hyperspace. "You just defeated 3 of their best hunters without even looking up from your tablet. How is that possible?" Hana returned to studying her technical data. The shielding system had performed exactly as predicted, absorbing the alien weapons energy and using it to disrupt their electronics. She made a few notes about possible improvements, then looked up at the captain. "The Velkans have been using the same stealth and weapons technology for over 200 years, she explained. "They assume that because it worked against other species, it will work against humans. They do not understand that we advance differently." The transport continued toward Mars, where the orbital defense satellites were waiting for final inspection. Each satellite was the size of a small building but contained technology that could protect entire planets. The energy web they created when linked together was invisible to most sensors, but could stop any known weapon. As they approached the first satellite, Hana noticed something interesting on the sensor displays. There were several small objects moving between the satellite's objects that should not have been there. She enhanced the sensor resolution and discovered that they were not objects at all, but beings in advanced spacesuits. "Shape-shifters," she said quietly. "The Thakari have sent infiltrators, Captain." Park immediately reached for the alarm button, but again Hana stopped him. She wanted to observe these aliens in action to see how they planned to sabotage her defensive network. The Thakari were known throughout the galaxy for their ability to change their appearance to mimic any living creature perfectly. The infiltrators were attempting to attach devices to the satellites, probably hoping to create backdoors in the defensive systems that would allow future attacks to succeed. It was actually a clever plan that might have worked against other species, but Hana had expected this type of attempt and had prepared countermeasures. She activated a special scanning system built into each satellite. The scanners could detect the unique energy signatures that all living beings possessed, regardless of what shape they appeared to be. The Thakari infiltrators were immediately revealed as bright red dots on the tactical display. The satellite's defense systems activated automatically, releasing swarms of micro-drones that surrounded each infiltrator. The drones did not attack, but simply maintained position, creating an obvious visual indication of where the shapeshifters were located. The aliens found themselves trapped and exposed, with no way to complete their mission. Hana opened a communication channel that broadcast on Thakari military frequencies. "Infiltration complete," she said in their language using perfect pronunciation. "You have successfully demonstrated that. Thakari stealth capabilities are inadequate against human detection systems." One of the infiltrators responded with angry, chittering sounds that the translation system converted to human speech. "Impossible human female. Our shape-shifting abilities have never been detected before. Your sensors cannot penetrate our disguises. Your disguises are perfect." Hana agreed, "But you still have Thakari life signs. Human sensors do not rely only on visual identification. We detect biological patterns, energy, signatures, and quantum resonance frequencies. Your external appearance is irrelevant." The infiltrators began retreating toward their hidden ship, but the satellite defense systems tracked them easily, even when they changed shape to look like pieces of space debris or maintenance drones. The scanners continued following their unique life signatures. The Thakari discovered that their most advanced stealth technique was completely useless against human technology, as the alien infiltrators escaped. Hana made additional notes about the performance of her detection systems. The satellites had worked perfectly, identifying and tracking multiple stealth infiltrators without any difficulty. She would need to share this data with Earth Defense Force, so they could upgrade all human facilities with similar protection. Captain Park was shaking his head in disbelief. 2 different alien species had just tried to kill you, and you acted like it was a normal day at work. How can you be so calm about assassination attempts? Hana looked at him with genuine curiosity. "Because they are not really trying," she said. "These were test attacks to see what human defenses could do. The real assassination attempts will come later when they think they understand our capabilities." The transport completed its inspection tour of the Mars orbital ring and began the journey back toward Earth. Hana spent the travel time analyzing the data from both alien attacks and preparing reports for Admiral Seo the Velkins. And Thakari had revealed important information about their current technology levels, which would be useful for future planning as Earth grew larger in the view screen. Hana wondered which species would make the next attempt. The Mordak Collective was known for their cybernetic assassins, while the ancient celestial order used psychic warriors that could kill with their minds alone. Each alien civilization would probably try their most advanced techniques, expecting to succeed where others had failed. The thought made her smile. The galaxy was about to discover that human defensive technology was even more advanced than their offensive capabilities. Every assassination attempt would only provide more data about alien weaknesses while demonstrating human superiority. The aliens were essentially testing themselves against human systems and failing every examination. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities to show the galaxy that trying to stop human progress through violence was not just impossible but counterproductive. Each failed attack would only convince more humans that they needed even better defensive systems, leading to faster advancement and greater technological superiority. The hunt had begun, but the aliens were discovering that they were not the hunters in this situation. They were the prey, and humans were the apex predators of the galaxy. Word of the failed assassination attempts spread through the galactic communication networks faster than most ships could travel. Within hours, every major alien government knew that the Velkins and Thakari had tried to eliminate Hana Kim and failed completely. The news caused panic in capitals across known space as leaders realized that their most advanced military technologies were useless against human defenses. On the neutral world of Kepler Prime, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council continued around the clock. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall, arguing about what they called the human problem. The debates grew more desperate with each passing hour as intelligence reports confirmed that human technology was advancing even faster than previously estimated. Ambassador Minji Park represented Earth at these emergency sessions, sitting calmly at the human delegation table, while alien representatives shouted and gestured wildly around her. She had been instructed by President Choi to observe and report, but not to reveal any information about human capabilities. The aliens were doing an excellent job of revealing their own weaknesses without any help from humans. The Velkan ambassador was demanding immediate military action against Earth before humans could develop even more dangerous technologies. The Thakari delegate was proposing a trade embargo to cut off human access to rare materials. The Mordak representative suggested using biological weapons to eliminate human scientists, while the Celestial Order envoy spoke mysteriously about temporal manipulation to prevent human advancement. Ambassador Park listened to these suggestions with growing amusement. Each proposed solution revealed how little the aliens understood about human civilization. They still thought in terms of traditional warfare and economic pressure, not realizing that humans had already moved beyond dependence on alien resources or conventional military tactics. During a brief recess, Ambassador Park sent an encrypted message to Earth, reporting on the alien discussions. The panic level among galactic leaders was higher than anyone had expected. Some species were even talking about abandoning their territories and fleeing to other galaxies rather than face human expansion. Meanwhile, on Earth, Hana had grown tired of the constant interruptions to her research. The assassination attempts were becoming annoying distractions from her real work. She decided that a more direct approach was needed to discourage future attacks. She would demonstrate human capabilities in a way that could not be misunderstood or ignored. Her target was the most secure facility in the galaxy, the Nexus Archive, on Proxima Station. This massive database contained the military secrets of every major civilization, protected by defensive systems that had never been breached in over 1,000 years. The station existed in neutral space, protected by treaties, signed by all galactic powers. The Nexus Archive was surrounded by energy fields that could destroy entire fleets, automated weapons platforms that could track thousands of targets simultaneously, and quantum locks that would take conventional computers millions of years to break. The facility was considered absolutely impenetrable by every species, except humans. Hana took a small personal spacecraft and flew alone toward Proxima Station. The ship was disguised as a civilian transport, but contained some of her most advanced defensive and infiltration technologies. She had not informed Admiral Seo or anyone else about her plans, because she wanted to avoid any interference from cautious military advisors. As she approached the station, the automated defense systems began scanning her ship. The energy readings showed a simple civilian vessel with standard life support and basic navigation systems. The disguise was perfect because it was not really a disguise at all. The ship appeared normal, because Hana had hidden her advanced technology inside conventional-looking equipment. The station traffic control directed her to a standard docking bay where security officers waited to perform routine inspections. Hana allowed them to examine her ship and personal belongings, which all appeared completely ordinary. The guards found nothing suspicious because they were looking for traditional spy equipment, not technology that was centuries beyond their understanding. Once inside the station, Hana made her way through the corridors like any other visitor. The internal security systems scanned her constantly, but detected only a human female carrying normal personal items. Her weapons were built into her clothing using nanotechnology that the scanners could not identify. Her computer access tools were disguised as jewelry and everyday objects. The archive itself was located in the center of the station, behind multiple layers of security barriers. Each barrier required different types of authentication, from genetic scans to quantum encryption keys. Hana bypassed them all using techniques that the station designers had never imagined possible. Her nanotechnology tools could mimic any genetic pattern, while her quantum computers could break encryption codes in seconds that should have taken millennia. The security systems were designed to stop conventional infiltrators, not someone with technology that operated on completely different principles. Inside the archive, Hana found herself surrounded by data storage systems that contained the collective military knowledge of galactic civilization. Every weapon design, every tactical manual, every strategic plan developed by hundreds of species over thousands of years was stored in this one facility. She connected her personal device to the archive network and began downloading everything. The process took only minutes because her equipment could transfer data at speeds that the alien systems could barely measure. She copied complete military databases from every major species, along with detailed intelligence reports about their current capabilities and weaknesses. Before leaving, Hana decided to leave behind a message that would make her point clear. She used the archive systems to create a simple text file that appeared on every screen in the facility. The message read, "Thank you for the educational materials. This information will be very helpful for future human expansion plans." The security breach was discovered within hours after Hana had already returned to Earth. The reaction from galactic governments was immediate and terrifying. The most secure facility in known space had been penetrated by a single human working alone without anyone. Even knowing she was there until she chose to reveal herself, emergency sessions of the Galactic Council became permanent crisis meetings as leaders realized that their military secrets were no longer secret. Hana Kim had not only proven that human infiltration capabilities were beyond anything they could stop, but had also gained access to detailed information about every alien military in the galaxy. Ambassador Park watched the alien representatives with barely concealed satisfaction as they argued about responses to the archive breach. Some wanted to declare war immediately, while others proposed fleeing to distant galaxies. The panic was so complete that several species began fighting among themselves over who was to blame for the security failure. The Celestial Order representative finally spoke, breaking the chaotic debates with words that silenced the entire assembly. "We are no longer dealing with a military threat. This human female represents something beyond our experience. She is not just advanced, she is transcendent." Other delegates began nodding in agreement. As the truth became clear, Hana Kim was not simply a brilliant scientist or military commander. She was evidence that humanity had evolved beyond the limitations that constrained other species. The galaxy was facing something entirely new and unprecedented. Back on Earth, Hana was already analyzing the stolen data and planning her next projects. The alien military information revealed weaknesses and limitations that she could exploit, while the intelligence reports showed exactly how much the other species feared human advancement. The psychological advantage was almost as valuable as the technical knowledge. She began designing new technologies that would specifically counter each alien species' most advanced weapons. The Velkin plasma systems could be neutralized with phase-shifting shields. The Thakari infiltration techniques were useless against quantum life sign detectors. The Mordak cybernetic soldiers could be disabled with electromagnetic pulse weapons. The stolen data also revealed something interesting about alien psychology. Most species advance their technology very slowly, taking centuries to develop improvements that humans achieved in years. This conservative approach was built into their cultures and thinking patterns, making rapid advancement almost impossible for them. Humans had no such limitations. They embraced change and innovation as natural parts of existence. This fundamental difference meant that the gap between human and alien technology would continue growing larger no matter what the aliens tried to do to catch up. As she worked on her new projects, Hana realized that the galaxy was about to change forever. The old order based on slow technological progress and careful diplomatic balance was ending. Humanity would soon become the dominant force in known space, not through conquest, but simply by being better at everything than everyone else. The assassination attempts had accomplished the opposite of their intended goal. Instead of stopping human advancement, they had provided motivation for even faster progress. Hana now had detailed information about alien capabilities and clear evidence that no other species could threaten human security. Tomorrow, she would begin implementing the next phase of human expansion, using the stolen alien data to design technologies that. President Do-Yun Choi stood in the Oval Office of the Presidential Palace in New Geneva, staring at the reports scattered across his desk. Intelligence agencies from across Earth had compiled detailed analyses of the galactic response to Hana Kim's infiltration of the Nexus Archive. The alien governments were in complete panic mode, with some species even beginning to evacuate their border territories. The president had called an emergency meeting of the Earth Defense Council to discuss humanity's official response to the ongoing assassination attempts. Admiral Seo entered the office, followed by General Kyungwon Yu, the head of Earth Intelligence Service, and Dr. Yoonbi Han, the director of the Advanced Technology Division. Mr. President, Admiral, Seo began. The situation has escalated beyond anything we anticipated. 17 different alien governments have now held emergency sessions specifically about Commander Kim. The Galactic Council has declared her a threat to universal stability. President Choi nodded gravely while reviewing the latest intelligence reports. The aliens were no longer hiding their fear of human advancement. Instead, they were openly discussing plans for preemptive strikes against Earth itself. Some species were even talking about using forbidden weapons that had been banned by galactic treaties for centuries. "I think it's time we sent a clear message to the galaxy," President Choi said quietly. "The aliens need to understand exactly what they are dealing with when they threaten human citizens." Dr. Han leaned forward in her chair. "Sir, with respect, sending a message might not be enough. The intelligence we have gathered suggests that several species are preparing for coordinated military action against Earth. They believe that if they can eliminate our technological advantages, they can return to the old galactic balance." The president smiled at this suggestion. The old galactic balance was exactly what humanity intended to change forever. Earth had been patient with alien fears and concerns, but the assassination attempts against Hana had crossed a line that could not be ignored. "Activate the deep space communication array," he ordered. "This message will be broadcast on every frequency known to galactic civilization. I want every alien government to receive it simultaneously." The Deep Space Communication Array was one of Earth's most classified projects, a network of quantum transmitters that could send messages instantly to any point in the galaxy. The technology was based on principles that alien scientists did not even know existed, making their communication systems seem like primitive smoke signals by comparison. Within hours, the array was fully operational and ready to transmit Earth's official response to the assassination attempts. The message would be sent from the primary transmission station on Luna directly to the capital worlds of every major alien civilization. President Choi had worked with Earth's best writers and strategists to craft the message, but the final version was surprisingly simple and direct. It began with footage that human surveillance systems had recorded during each assassination attempt, showing Hana calmly defeating the galaxy's most feared killers while going about her daily routine. The first segment showed the Velkan stealth fighters being disabled by Hana's experimental shields while she continued reading her technical reports. The second segment displayed the Thakari infiltrators being detected and surrounded by satellite defense drones while remaining completely invisible to their own equipment. The footage was edited to emphasize how easily human technology had countered alien attacks that should have been unstoppable. Each failed assassination attempt was presented as evidence of human technological superiority rather than lucky accidents or close calls. The second part of the transmission displayed technical specifications for human military hardware that had never been revealed to alien governments. The data showed weapon systems that were centuries ahead of anything the aliens possessed. defense technologies that made their most advanced attacks useless, and propulsion systems that could cross the galaxy in days instead of months. President Choi had initially been reluctant to reveal classified human capabilities, but the intelligence reports convinced him that demonstration was necessary. The aliens were operating under the assumption that they understood human technology levels. This false belief was encouraging them to make increasingly dangerous decisions. The technical specifications were carefully selected to show overwhelming superiority without revealing the most sensitive details. Human plasma weapons were shown to be 10 times more powerful than Vulcan designs. Human stealth technology could penetrate any known detection system. Human defensive shields could stop weapons that aliens considered planet killers. The third segment of the transmission was the most important part. It showed Hana herself standing in her laboratory on Luna Station, surrounded by her latest inventions. She looked directly into the camera and spoke in a calm, clear voice that somehow conveyed both confidence and subtle threat. The galaxy sent assassins to kill her, she said, pausing to let the words sink in. Earth sends a message back. Try harder. The simplicity of the statement made it even more devastating. Hana was not angry or defensive about the assassination attempts. Instead, she seemed almost bored by them, as if the combined military might of galactic civilization was barely worth her attention. The final part of the transmission contained Earth's formal diplomatic response to the attempts on Hana's life. President Choi appeared in his official capacity, wearing the ceremonial robes of his office and speaking with the authority of humanity's elected leader. Earth recognizes that some galactic governments view human advancement as a threat to their interests, he began. However, assassination attempts against human citizens will not be tolerated under any circumstances. Any future attacks will be considered acts of war. He paused to let this declaration be translated into hundreds of alien languages before continuing with the most important part of the message. Earth hereby offers a choice to all galactic civilizations. You may accept human leadership in technological and military matters, or you may attempt to resist. You may work with humanity to advance your own species, or you may continue trying to stop progress that cannot be stopped. The final words of the transmission were delivered with absolute certainty. Either way, humanity will continue to advance and expand. You cannot change this reality. You can only decide whether you will benefit from it or be replaced by it. The message was transmitted simultaneously to every alien capital world in the galaxy, reaching billions of beings at exactly the same moment. The psychological impact was enormous, as alien leaders realized that humanity could communicate across impossible distances instantly, while their own messages still took weeks or months to travel between systems. On Kepler Prime Ambassador Park watched the alien representatives as they received the transmission. The silence in the Great Assembly Hall was absolute, as beings who had ruled the galaxy for millennia absorbed the reality of their new situation. Humanity was not asking permission to advance. They were simply announcing what was going to happen. The Vulcan ambassador was the first to speak after the message ended, his voice shaking with barely controlled fear. You cannot simply declare yourselves the leaders of the galaxy. There are laws and traditions that have existed for thousands of years. Ambassador Park stood slowly and looked around the hall at the assembled alien representatives. Laws and traditions created by species with inferior technology, she said. Calmly, those laws are about to change. Whether you participate in creating new laws or simply accept them is your choice. The reaction to Earth's message varied dramatically between different alien governments. Some species immediately began preparing surrender negotiations, while others started mobilizing their military forces for what they believed would be a final war against humanity. The Celestial Order sent a private communication directly to President Choi requesting a meeting to discuss terms for peaceful coexistence. The ancient psychic beings had apparently decided that resistance was futile and preferred to negotiate while they still had something to offer. Other species were not so wise. The Mordak Collective began assembling a grand fleet with cybernetic soldiers and artificial intelligence systems that they believed could match human technology. Several smaller civilizations formed military alliances, hoping that combined forces might be able to overwhelm human defenses back. On Earth, Hana was already preparing for the next phase of the conflict. Her analysis of the stolen alien data had revealed the locations of major military bases, weapons manufacturing facilities, and strategic resources throughout the galaxy if the aliens wanted to escalate the situation further. She was ready to demonstrate that human offensive capabilities were even more impressive than their defensive systems. The message had been sent and received. The galaxy now knew exactly what humanity was capable of and what they intended to do about alien interference. The response would determine whether the transition to human leadership happened peacefully or required more direct action. President Choi stood at his office window looking up at the stars, knowing that somewhere among those distant lights, alien governments were making decisions that would determine the future of galactic civilization. Some would choose wisdom and cooperation. Others would choose resistance and face the consequences. Either way, humanity would continue to advance, and the galaxy would learn that trying to stop human progress through violence or intimidation was not just futile, but the final wave of assassins arrived at Earth exactly 1 month after the transmission. The aliens had spent weeks gathering their most advanced killers from across the galaxy, believing that overwhelming numbers and coordinated attacks would succeed, where individual attempts had failed. 50 ships dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system, carrying representatives from every major alien military organization. But something was different about this fleet. The ships were not approaching in attack formation. Instead, they flew in ceremonial patterns with their weapons powered down and their communication arrays broadcasting surrender signals on all frequencies. The galaxy had finally understood what they were truly facing. Admiral CO watched the alien fleet from the command center of Luna Station. The tactical displays showed ship classifications from dozens of different species, but none of them were displaying hostile intent. Instead, the fleet was requesting permission to approach Earth for formal negotiations. Commander Kim, please report to the diplomatic reception area, Admiral SEO announced over the station communication system. The aliens are here to see you. Hana finished her work on the latest batch of dimensional fold drives and made her way to the reception area. She was curious about what the aliens would say after their complete failure to stop human advancement. The psychological pressure of realizing their technological inferiority must have been enormous for beings who had considered themselves the masters of the galaxy. The reception area had been modified to accommodate representatives from multiple alien species. Some breathed different atmospheric mixtures, while others required specific temperature, ranges, or gravity levels. Human technology made these accommodations easy to provide, while demonstrating yet another area where human capabilities exceeded alien expectations. Captain Soo-Young Lee of the starship New Seoul had been assigned as Hana's military escort for the surrender ceremony. She was one of Earth's most experienced diplomatic security officers and had studied alien psychology extensively. The captain understood that this moment would determine whether the transition to human leadership happened peacefully or required more drastic measures. The alien delegates began arriving in small groups, each species sending their most senior military commanders and diplomatic representatives. The Velkin War Marshal entered first, his scarred face showing the resignation of someone who had finally accepted an impossible situation. The Thakari Shapemaster appeared as a tall, humanoid figure, but her constantly shifting features revealed her emotional distress. The Mordak Collective sent their supreme cyber lord, a being that was more machine than organic creature, but even his advanced artificial intelligence systems had concluded that resistance was futile. The ancient celestial order was represented by an elderly psychic, whose mental abilities had apparently shown him visions of humanity's inevitable victory. When all the delegates had assembled, Hana entered the reception area. She wore a simple Earth Defense Force uniform with no special decorations or ceremonial elements. Her calm demeanor and relaxed posture created a sharp contrast with the nervous tension visible in the alien representatives. War Marshal Keth of the Velkan Empire spoke first. His translated words, carrying the weight of final defeat, humanity, has demonstrated capabilities that we cannot match or counter. Our weapons are useless against your defenses. Our stealth technology cannot hide from your sensors. Our tactical knowledge is inferior to your strategic thinking. He paused to look around at the other alien delegates before continuing. We have come to offer our complete surrender and to request terms for our continued existence. We acknowledge that the galaxy now belongs to humanity. Hana listened to this speech with genuine interest. The transformation in alien attitudes was remarkable. Only months ago, these same beings had been planning her assassination and discussing ways to prevent human advancement. Now they were begging for mercy and offering total submission. The Thakari Shape Master stepped forward, her appearance stabilizing into something resembling her species' natural form. Our infiltration capabilities have been rendered obsolete by human detection technology. Our shape-shifting abilities that took millennia to perfect are useless against your sensors. We offer our services to humanity in whatever capacity you deem appropriate. One by one, each alien representative made similar statements. The Mordak Collective offered their manufacturing capabilities. The Celestial Order promised to use their psychic abilities in service of human goals. Smaller species pledged their loyalty and resources to the new human empire. Captain Lee observed the proceedings with professional detachment, but even she was impressed by the completeness of the alien surrender. These beings had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years, but were now voluntarily abandoning their power rather than face human military action. Hana finally responded to the surrender offers, speaking in a calm voice that somehow carried more authority than all the alien military titles combined. I accept your surrender on behalf of Earth and humanity. However, the terms of your continued existence will be determined by Earth's government, not by me personally. She gestured toward the viewing windows where Earth was visible as a blue sphere surrounded by the lights of orbital installations. The galaxy will be restructured according to human principles. Those who can adapt to human leadership will prosper. Those who cannot adapt will be free to leave known space and find new homes beyond our area of interest. The alien delegates absorbed this information with varying degrees of relief and concern. Some had expected immediate execution or enslavement. Instead, they were being offered a chance to remain in the galaxy under human supervision. The terms were actually more generous than many had hoped for. War Marshal Keth asked the question that all the aliens were thinking. What will happen to our existing governments and military forces? Will you allow us to maintain some degree of autonomy? Hana considered this question carefully. The answer would set the precedent for human rule over the entire galaxy. She needed to be firm enough to prevent future rebellion, but generous enough to encourage cooperation from species that could still provide useful services. Your existing governments will be reorganized as local administrative districts under Earth's central authority. She replied, your military forces will be disbanded and replaced with human-trained security units. Any technology above certain specified levels will be transferred to human control for safety reasons. The aliens had expected this type of response. Most of their advanced weapons and defensive systems were already obsolete compared to human technology, so transferring control would not significantly change the military balance. The real power had already shifted to humanity regardless of formal political arrangements. The Celestial Order representative spoke for the first time using telepathic communication that was automatically translated by human systems. Young human leader, we have seen visions of possible futures. Most timelines show humanity eventually spreading across multiple galaxies while other species either adapt or fade into extinction. This revelation created murmurs among the other alien delegates. The Celestial Order's prophetic abilities were legendary throughout the galaxy. If their psychic visions showed human expansion beyond the current galaxy, then resistance truly was pointless. Hana was not surprised by this prediction. Human technology was advancing so rapidly that intergalactic travel would probably be achieved within decades rather than centuries. The current galaxy was just the beginning of human expansion into the universe. That future is inevitable, she confirmed, whether other species participate in human expansion or remain behind in this galaxy is their choice. We will not force anyone to join us in exploring new frontiers, but we will not allow anyone to interfere with our progress. The surrender ceremony concluded with formal signing of documents that transferred effective control of galactic civilization to Earth. The aliens would be allowed to maintain their local cultures and traditions, but all major decisions would be made by human authorities. As the alien delegates prepared to return to their homeworlds to announce the new reality, Hana reflected on how quickly the situation had changed. A few months ago, these same beings had been sending assassins to kill her. Now they were voluntarily submitting to human authority and offering their services. The transformation was complete. The galaxy had finally accepted that humanity represented the next stage of evolution in intelligent life. The old order, based on slow technological progress and careful balance between multiple powers, was ending. A new era of human leadership and rapid advancement was beginning. Captain Lee approached Hana as the last alien delegates departed. Commander, the President has requested a full report on the surrender proceedings. He wants to begin planning the transition to formal human administration of galactic territories. Hana nodded while continuing to watch the alien ships depart through the viewing windows. Tomorrow would bring new challenges as humanity began the complex task of governing a galaxy full of different species. But the hardest part was over. The aliens had finally accepted reality. The galaxy belonged to humanity now. Not through conquest, but through simple technological superiority. The assassination attempts had failed completely and had actually accelerated the process by demonstrating human capabilities to anyone who still doubted the reckoning was complete, and humanity had emerged victorious. 2 years had passed since the Great Surrender, and the galaxy had settled into its new reality under human leadership. The transformation had been smoother than anyone expected, mostly because the aliens had finally understood that cooperation with humanity was not just preferable to resistance. It was the only logical choice for species that wanted to survive, and Prosper Hana Kim now served as Earth's Minister of Galactic Affairs, operating from a massive space station orbiting the planet, New Terra, in the former Velkan Empire territory. The station was a marvel of human engineering, combining residential areas for thousands of different species with advanced research facilities and administrative centers that managed the daily operations of galactic civilization. Her office windows provided a spectacular view of the bustling space traffic around New Terra. Alien freighters delivered raw materials to human factories, while human warships escorted diplomatic convoys between different sectors of the galaxy. The site represented the new economic and political reality where human technology and organization had created unprecedented prosperity for all participating species. Minister Kim Admiral Seo called from the communication panel. Your brother has arrived from Earth. He is requesting a private meeting before the afternoon diplomatic sessions begin. Hana smiled at this news. Jinho had become one of Earth's most successful diplomats, specializing in the delicate task of helping alien populations adapt to human administration. His natural charm and genuine interest in other cultures made him extremely popular among the former enemies who were now learning to become allies. Jinho entered her office carrying a briefcase full of reports from his latest diplomatic tour. He had been visiting the Outer Rim territories where some of the smaller alien species were still adjusting to the new galactic order. His job was to address their concerns and help them find productive roles in the human-led civilization. Sister, he said with a grin, you look tired. Are you getting enough sleep, or are you still working 18-hour days trying to manage the entire galaxy? Hana laughed and gestured for him to sit in one of the comfortable chairs arranged around her desk. Managing the galaxy is easier than I expected, she replied. Most of the work involves coordinating existing systems rather than creating entirely new ones. The aliens had decent administrative structures, they just lacked the technology to make them truly efficient. This was typical of the situation throughout human-controlled space. The alien species had developed sophisticated governments and economic systems over thousands of years, but their technological limitations had prevented them from reaching their full potential. Human technology was allowing these existing structures to operate at levels that would have been impossible under the old system. Jinho opened his briefcase and pulled out several data tablets containing reports from different sectors. I have good news from the Outer Rim territories, he announced. The Zalani Confederation has increased their agricultural production by 300%, using human-designed farming equipment. The Korvac clans have successfully converted their mining operations to human-standard efficiency levels. These success stories were becoming common throughout the galaxy as alien populations discovered that human technology could solve problems they had struggled with for centuries. Agricultural yields were increasing dramatically. Manufacturing efficiency was reaching unprecedented levels. Transportation systems were moving goods and people faster than ever before. The former enemies were becoming the greatest advocates for human leadership because they could see the concrete improvements in their daily lives. Food was more plentiful, consumer goods were better quality, and medical care was available to populations that had never had access to advance